Welcome to Scorched Earth and the general reading for the sign of Taurus, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for, well, quite frankly now, I find myself under some considerable cognitive load at the moment, which is quite difficult to deal with, and despite the fact that, you know, I would like to default to my usual of just fucking disappearing, curling up in a ball and trying to ride it out, that's not very helpful. So I thought I'll turn up in the way that I can, and that is with a slightly shorter video that is tailored to now rather than what's coming up and all that kind of thing. And there's you know, there's good reason for that aspect anyway, because I think there's a fairly limited use case for the kind of what's coming up videos that we have all been used to. Why? Because we've got some really big fucking transits coming through very, very soon. And anybody who tells you what they know what that means is, quite frankly, really lying to you. When things are chaotic, when time does not run in a linear fashion, when everything is happening everywhere all at once, I'm not sure it's necessarily that useful to look to the future. We need to work out where we are right now, and from there we can just work out our next step, right? Just imagine that you were surrounded by fog, and Neptune is very, very active at the moment, so that fog is real. You can't see where you're going, can't see what direction it is. You just got to take the first step, right? The bit of floor that you can see, we're going to take that, and then a little bit more will be revealed, and so on and so on. Given the fact that Saturn is finishing up in Pisces, getting ready to move into Aries, Neptune is already in Aries, and, you know, specific to you, although we all have Taurus in our chart somewhere, Uranus is finishing up now the story that he started such a long time ago for you in back in 2018. It feels to me that it would be more useful to look at A, where you are right now. If you know where you are, you can orient the next step. B, how to move through the uncertainty. This has been coming out very different for each of the signs, so like I like that as an idea. And then finally, in view of the fact that we have some major new cycles resetting, you know, coming up, what story is finished? What old narrative is done with? What set of circumstances are complete? Because I think within this fog, it's actually quite difficult to work out what we should be letting go of, what we should be observing the natural expiration date of, and kind of like, you know, just standing back. So to that end, let me flip the camera around here. We're going to pull 3 cards for each of those. And then in the extended, we will look at potential pitfalls or traps of the shadow that may be showing up here, because it just always seems to happen at this point, right? When we're so close to the end, we're so close to a breakthrough, there's something that pulls us back. So give you something something to be aware of from that perspective, and also advice to help navigate that, right? However that may come up, what it means, what we do about it, and how we, you know, amend, adjust, or hunker down in some cases. Although I imagine there's going to be very little that comes up this year that's going to be wanting you to hunker down. It's just not the energy of the year, right? We will close out with this spiral oracle, which I like. I don't use oracle decks very much, but I like that one, and it's been given some really nice cohesive icing on the top of the cake, if you will. So let's have a look and see where Taurus is right now. Right, we have a sideways card, which is in fact the King of Pentacles. There you are, Taurus. Some more cards for Taurus, please. Right, we've got the Strength card, which is also kind of sideways, and it's crossed by the High Priestess. Let's get one more. 2 of Wands. I like this, but let us get the rest of the cards out first, and then we'll talk about what it is. So, how to move through the uncertainty. Ace of Swords. Well, God knows there's vanishingly little in the way of truth around at the moment, but yeah, seems like a good place to start. Thank you. We've got the Temperance card. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. And we've got the Hermit, also kind of turning up in a bit of a wonky fashion. Now, I like to observe the positions that they come in and kind of honour them a little bit, because I think that in and of itself means as much as the content of the card. What story is finished for Taurus? Well, the Ace of Pentacles is on its side. We have Page of Swords. And we have the Nine of Swords reversed. What a beautiful card to end on. Even better, we have the Six of Wands at the bottom of the deck there, Taurus. Holy shit. That is stunning. So, let's move these down just a little bit so we can have a look at the energies of these cards right here. Now, where you are right now can best be described as a crossroads, right? But it's a crossroads in the fog. When we normally talk about the Two of Wands and the choice that is contained therein, usually we have a point of pause, if you will, where we're pausing at the intersection of two roads going off in two directions, and we say, okay, we're going to sit and we'll work through the consequences going one way over another. That's the way I've always talked about it. You go back over years worth of readings, we talked about it like that. But what is striking about this are two things. This is what changes the nature of the Two of Wands for me. The first is a detail that I have never noticed on the Two of Wands. Not in this deck. I haven't had it very long, but I haven't ever paid attention to it before, which is that this isn't a sun. This is a moon. That already is giving us a different kind of flavour for the crossroads. But also the King of Pentacles is on his side. He is, to some extent, compromised in terms of the way that he would normally like to do things. Now, the King of Pentacles is a deeply responsible character, but he's a builder of things. He's a builder of empires. He's a builder of resources. He's a builder of creating things that benefit the collective, right? Taurus often always thinking about things in collective terms. It's like, what do we need here for the good functioning of our community? I'm going to make sure that I provide those resources or get things in motion, plan, be the architect of whatever this is, right? And then start the work. He's very fastidious. He's very methodical. He doesn't take shortcuts. He's got a plan, retro-engineers the plan to work out which of what steps need to be taken and when, so he can coordinate this huge move, right? But he's on his side. He's there. He's not showing up as a shadowy version of the King of Pentacles. He is there, but he is somewhat compromised. His view is not clear, and whether that is how to move forwards devoid of the usual rigorous plan that he would be working to, where we do this and then we do this, and from there we can move into doing this over here. Like, that's not there. So the King of Pentacles doesn't have a plan. Also, we may say, from the King of Pentacles being on his side, there's also a little bit of a questioning around the value of what currently exists. Now, I don't know where this is coming from exactly, because it's an odd way to look at this card, but the King of Pentacles likes to build on solid foundations, right? So good foundation, he understands, will support whatever comes above it. And that's how Tauruses move through the world, right? But I feel like there's a strong question of the foundation itself. It feels almost like there's a way of looking at it to say that King of Pentacles has rather uncharacteristically got on his back to peer underneath something and see if this foundation is really as structured or well built as he thought that it was. All I'm saying is, it feels a little bit like Taurus, King of Pentacles, is in this sort of weird limbo, where he hasn't quite decided whether what he's built is good enough to build up on top of. and he certainly can't see far enough ahead to work out where it is that he's going. He has to be here, and he has to be still, and he has to be paying attention, which is very, very interesting. To it then, although you find yourself as at a crossroads, and there is a decision that needs to be made one way or the other, a path to be picked one way or the other, there is actually no way of verifying, even within your own mind, whether you are picking the right path. This is not cool, right, to the way that we are used to doing things, but this is a very different year to any year that we've experienced in our lifetimes. It's really, really different. So the moon here, whilst providing some level of illumination, is not actually giving us enough detail to work out the logical consequences of moving one way or another. And so then the only thing that we really do have to move with is the High Priestess. Now the High Priestess is a conduit for higher wisdom. She is with the Magician, in fact, the heavenly parent of the Fool. She talks about a knowing without evidence, right? It's just that kind of silent witness to, knowing things without evidence of. It's kind of running counter to all the things that we would like to have at our disposal when we are at a crossroads and when we are trying to plan what we're doing in the future. But there's a subtle evolution of the King of Pentacles that seems to be happening against this backdrop of a kind of tension, which is predicated on, I don't really know which way to go. I've got all the usual ways that I would do things, that I would plan, that I would make decisions, and they don't seem to be yielding results. The way is foggy. I'm not entirely sure what I'm standing on is strong enough to support where I want to go next. And there's something altogether more abstract that seems to be flowing in to the place where certainty would usually exist for you, Taurus. And that certainty coming from, I double-checked, triple-checked my figures, they're right, they're spot on, this is fine, I can proceed to the next level of the plan. Or, I've checked the materials, they're high quality, I've checked this, that and the other, it's all good. Those things are absent. And so there is this more abstract, quiet, what does my intuition say? What information is coming down from somewhere I can't really evidence that is helping me work out what the next move would be, absent all of the points that I would usually use to reference myself and what I want to do next. Now that Strength card is really interesting, because the Strength card is about personal growth. It's not about the expansion of one's kingdom or anything like that. It's about being strong enough to weather whatever comes next. And there was a period of time where I used to fucking cry when I saw the Strength card, because it used to come up for me so often. Not because I was afraid of growing, but actually because I was afraid of the method by which my growth always seems to happen, which is through difficult experiences. When things are challenging, this is where my endurance increases, right? But fuck me, am I gonna suffer through that, right? Whether I needed to suffer or not is a question for another day, right? It's a lot to do with mindset more than anything else. But what's really peculiar about this is the level to which you seem to be accepting the loss of certainty, because that usually would have been an absolute fucking no-go for you, Taurus. But allowing in its stead this quiet knowing to come in and guide you forwards. I mean, it's saying without question that you're growing, Taurus, and we say that here. Sometimes if we see a court card that represents who we're reading for in a compromised position, which effectively he is, like he's not sitting in his position of power like this, You know, there could be some question of identity that is coming to the fore. And I don't discount the possibility that there is something about your identity that is morphing and shifting in front of you in a way that you don't quite understand. It's difficult to make sense of it until the process is complete. And so there could be an aspect of that here, but it feels much more like that willingness to sit with the uncertainty of the moment and just feel it. If you'd asked me 6 years ago which sign would have had, the hardest time doing something like that, I would have said Taurus. But if nothing else, that Uranus transit has really shown you where your power is. And it's freed you from a lot of the internal bullshit, particularly mental internal bullshit, that's always stopped you from reaching out, going higher, bigger, whatever, standing on your own sometimes. Metaphorically speaking, not down at the bus stop or something, you know what I mean? And then, because we have the 6 of Wands here and the 2 of Wands here and the 8 of the Strength card here, we've got a lot in the element of fire. But we've got, if I may, the successful embodiment of High Priestess energy that is allowing you to move forwards even though you don't have a plan. Sometimes the tarot can be read quite literally like that. It tends to be a little bit more with things like Lenormand cards and stuff like that. But I mean, this seems to be what's happening here. What's interesting about it is that there doesn't feel like there's a lot of fanfare around it. From you, at least. You know, you're not banging a drum and telling everybody to come and look at how awesome you are. It's a quiet confidence where certainty is replaced with the knowing the things that you need to know, and the rest you're comfortable with saying you don't know. You're comfortable not having a plan. That is fucking huge. That's huge, Taurus, because you would never have done this before. Like, this has been coming for a long time, and now you're doing it. So how to move through the uncertainty? Well, to some extent then, Taurus, I feel like I need to give you a gold star because, whilst these cards are speaking to the ways in which you could do it, I think to some extent they are also speaking to the ways that you are doing it. We got the Temperance card here, which, as we know, is about balance and equilibrium, and it's about healing, and it's about triumph through adversity or over adversity and whatnot. But it talks about that balance, that cosmic balance being there, right? We succeeded. We prevailed. The card being on its side doesn't make that any less true. But it does speak to the imbalance that is now occurring, right? The lack of order, the lack of predictability, the lack of linearity, the lack of the ability to create a plan that is meaningful. And it's being held very lightly by you. This would have sent you into an apoplexy 6 years ago, but not so now. And I wonder if part of this is because the High Priestess is occupying so much of you now. Like I said, you're literally embodying that, growing into that kind of energy where you can watch, you can observe, but you're not allowing yourself to get mixed in too much with what you understand to be an inherently chaotic time. It would be an act of desperation to be trying to claw some sort of order out of what is happening right now. And that Ace of Swords, it is a breakthrough energy. It is a change in the way that you see the world. But I do think that this rather, what's the word that I'm looking for? it's quite aligned. That's what I'm trying to say. Because this is rather aligned with you being a Taurus, because there's been a step-by-step process of growth here, and you took no shortcuts. You made sure that everything was done appropriately at one level before you moved on to the next, and so on and so forth, right? You have taken the path like a Taurus. And whereas the Ace of Swords usually speaks to a sudden breakthrough, I think we can look back at the last 8 years for you and say it has been a series of breakthroughs. It's been a series of perspective changes. It's been a series of allowing yourself to think differently. Small tweaks at each stage, but built up over a period of time. We've got a whole different way to view what is going on right now. It's almost like you understand that it's not your place to try and create any order out of it yet, because it isn't as chaotic as it is going to get yet. You just need to let it happen. You just need to make sure that everything is good with you internally, and there it is. It's the Hermit card. It's almost like you're in contact with the truth of the moment, and the truth is the moment it's supposed to be unbalanced. Things are supposed to be sliding around and falling over. It's almost like you understand if you're going to do a good building job, you need to make sure it's on solid foundations. And you're not sure about how solid the foundations are. We've already said that, right? But you also know what is loose is about to come toppling down, and maybe even things that weren't loose are going to come toppling down. And so there's something of the patient builder about you, where you're like, well, I'm just going to let it do its thing, and then when it's done its thing and everything's fallen down that needs to, then I'll move in and I'll start making the plan. But I don't know what the plan is, because I don't really know where I'm going. I don't know any of these things. Just kind of moving through quietly. But hella fucking successfully. What is this, Taurus? So, what story is finished? What is concluding here for you? Well, the Nine of Swords in the reverse seems fairly obvious, right? We've faced our fears. Is this not what you have done since 2018, over and over and over again? You know, the fear being the disruption, the fear being the taking away of the familiar, the fear being the unknown. Uranus has brought you face to face with that over and over again for 8 years, and he's nearly done. Nearly done. Why would that state hold fear for you when you've done it so many times before? Because you understand, obviously, that you've got a 100% hit rate of surviving all of the worst days of your life, and you are still here. And from this wiser place that Taurus is showing up, it feels like you can almost take a step back from all of this. And you might well have been sucked into the drama. If this had happened 6 years ago, 8 years ago, you might have been like chicken licking, running around and being like, fuck, the sky is falling, how will we ever recover from this? We won't, it's the apocalypse, right? But actually you're like, no, this is just the natural order of things. I think having faced your fears, having realized that you are bigger than all of your fears, it's almost like you've been able to lean into what is perhaps, to my mind at least, a better expression of Taurian energy, which understands that there is a pattern in the chaos. Like, what looks chaotic has an underlying pattern, we just don't understand it yet, and that's okay, right? The new order hasn't emerged yet. The new disorder is absolutely here. But there's something like a force of nature that is Taurus, and everything that Taurus represents within the Empress, that is missing the rigidity of the Hierophant and embracing the flow of the Empress, which is huge. It's really, really big. Stood you in very, very good stead for fielding the energies of the moment. Where it gets quite interesting, though, here, is this Page of Swords. Because the Page of Swords is always looking for new information. I actually feel like this Page of Swords is saying there is nothing really left to find that is going to help you put your perspective straight. It's like the work has been done. There's no further investment needed in fielding things that had the possibility of ambushing you, right? Remember that the Ace of Pentacles is your attention. Like, to some extent, you're not giving attention to the things that you're afraid of anymore, because, like, fear is a mile wide and an inch deep, right? And you put your tippy hooves in there and you're like, fuck me, I literally walk across the whole of this. But you never knew until you put your hoof in the water just how shallow it was. I might have stretched on for fucking acres. I don't know, what's the measurement of water when it's out in front of you like that? I don't know, square miles. Spread out for square miles. And looking on the face of it, to all intents and purposes, like a sea. But you keep putting one foot in front of the other. And have you not done this so many times, Taurus? Fuck, everything's fallen down. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have to really tentatively just keep putting down the hoof and making sure that there's actually solid ground beneath me before I go any further, because I'm in a state of terror. Over and over again, you have done this since 2018. At this point, it's just sort of second nature. Like, you don't have to worry about that, right? You know the process of just, yeah, that's solid. Yeah, that's solid. We just keep going. Just keep plodding. But the fear, it's gone. Because you did that over and over again. There's no more information to come up, and there's no more... there's almost like there's no more for you to learn about that. There'll be many other things for you to dip your toe into later. But when it comes to the act of facing your fear, the experiences that the universe is sending you to test that, to give you the what you need to throw yourself into it, they are done. They are complete. You can certainly think about other things. You can do other things. There are many things this year that are going to happen that are going to surprise the shit out of a lot of people. And in amongst those, I would expect there to be many, many Tauruses. For sure. And those Tauruses who have not done the work that you have will find themselves alarmed, distressed. Pick your adjective. Verb. What am I talking about? Pick your verb. And they're not going to weather this well. Now, the same could be said for all of the signs, right? For sure. But you fall into a subset of people who have really faced their fear head on, and you're emerging out of the other side. And whatever happens this year, it's just like this awareness of the fact that from chaos, order is created, and eventually order gets to a point where it's too restrictive and things start to collapse, and it rushes towards entropy, and then there is the collapse and the chaos again, and then a new order emerges. It's like you seem to be really tuned into the cycle of everything, and as you have been through your own particular chaos and order cycle, so now outside of you we're seeing the same. I always think of Taurus as being like the point of contact between the earth and the rest of the zodiac, right? Earth being the heaviest and densest of the elements, right? And Taurus being fixed earth, kind of standing on that. It's through your hooves that we all make contact with the earth. And to some extent, you've got the rest of the zodiac kind of stacked on your back somewhat. I remember remarking in 2020 that it seemed extraordinarily cruel that the universe was asking Taurus to level up so fast and so hard, right? In a completely opposite way to which Taurus felt able to do things. It felt cruel to me. Now, it wasn't without its benefits, for sure. But fuck, universe, like, get off the throat a little bit. I think 6 years later, looking back, can we not appreciate the underlying intelligence of those lessons being brought to Taurus's door in time for the resolution of that? When we're standing on the threshold of the biggest change that humanity's seen in a very long time. So I was like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, if I wanted my, my collectives to get through well, the very first thing I would do is make sure that Taurus is getting on board, leveling up fast and doing all that. It's exactly what's happened. I think that's curious. Certainly not coincidental. I think you're in a good place, Taurus. I am going to go to the extended though, and I am going to look for some potential pitfalls and shadow traps, because the worst thing that we can do is assume that our work is entirely done and there is nothing more for us to do. That's a really big mistake. So we're going to go and have a look and see if there is anything that's kind of lurking around there. I mean, I'm confident that whatever would come up, you'd probably be able to deal with it anyway. But when it's things of shadow, it's exactly as powerful as you. So sometimes a bit of a heads up on that one is a useful thing. And we will have a look at the advice in navigating that. We'll also pull from the Oracle deck and see if we can't weave this together. But like, as usual, Taurus, fucking sterling work. Gold star. You did the thing. I'm proud of you. I'm always proud of you. You've done a lot in actually, in the grand scheme of things, a very short period of time. Blink of an eye, really. So, if you'd like to join me over there, you're very welcome to do so. You can do that on Selfie, you can do that on Circle. The links for both are beneath the video. Yeah, know that I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you soon.